If they let me stand up and talk to the cadets, I would tell them all to get connected on LinkedIn.
Hi, this is Bill Conrad. Welcome to a special episode of Timelines of Success. This is episode 300, and today we have Scott Leishman, who is Assistant Director of Career Services at West Point Association of Graduates and a 1977 graduate with a JD from Fordham Law School. He's a former infantry officer and has 14 years of executive recruiting experience and over 20 years in sales, marketing, and management roles at companies such as Pfizer and Lexis-Nexis. He's worked with startups, and he's run his own recruiting company. Scott understands the power of the West Point network of graduates and the quality and leadership that those West Point officers bring to the civilian sector. Scott is flying out from West Point and will be on hand at Founders Day, which this year is on March 13th at Tamarack Junction as a Friday. And you can go to WPSNN.com to get tickets. Also, the guest speaker will be Dr. Robert McDonald. So we will see you out there. If you can make it out there on the 13th at Tamarack Junction, love to see you there. Well, now, without further ado, let's get right into this episode with Scott. Going on, what are some of the common mistakes that grads make when they start transitioning into the civilian workforce?
The worst thing they can do is apply. I've worked with people who have applied to 1,000 places and have only gotten 2 or 3 interviews out. But especially for more senior people, when you apply, you could be in a pile of 200, 300, or 400 resumes.
So if you don't apply, how do they find out about you?
Network. So there's 40 or 50,000 grads on LinkedIn. So we're telling everybody, get connected to grads. If maybe 2, 3, 5 years ahead of you who have transitioned. And that could be, whether you're getting out at 5 or getting out at 20. Where are your classmates? Where are the people that were firsties when you were a plebe? Start reaching out. So, and a lot, this isn't novel. A lot of the job hunting books are saying the same thing. Don't apply, network. When you network, a couple of main things. 70 or 80% of the jobs aren't posted. So called the invisible jobs. You can only find out about them by talking to somebody at the company. What's the corporate culture like? What's the management like? What's this division like? Am I getting, the job may look great, but is that division tanking? Is the management horrible? Is the culture toxic? They don't put that in the job description. And then the most important thing is, if you're talking to somebody and you do come to hey, this sounds like a good job, would be a good fit with your experience, would you please refer me to the hiring manager? So you get from that person, assuming they say yes, they send an email to the hiring manager with your resume attached and says, hey, you should talk to this guy. So instead of being in the applicant tracking system, which is trying to winnow out from 400 down to 25 resumes, you're being referred by an employee who may be up for a bonus at most companies if you get hired, and you're in a stack of 5 or 10 emails that are in the hiring manager's inbox already.
Very good. I remember when I was a cadet, for some reason, people were talking to us about Ford having like their 40 West Point grads, like in their top executive group. Are there groups or companies that have a lot of grads in those companies?
Oh, yeah.
Which are the top companies?
All of the Fortune 100 companies have a ton of grads in them. There's the CEO of J&J, 7-Eleven.
I know Carl's Jr. used to be led by a West Pointer.
Yeah.
I may still be.
How many are in there, I don't know. But we kind of go the other way and say, what kind of jobs are you going to go after? Okay, let's find some people in the industry who are grads for you to network with.
So last question on the grad and what you do. What are the most popular jobs that grads get into in the civilian side?
Within the last year, we've helped about 189 grads move into another position. And the top jobs that they're going into are IT, financial services, consulting, defense, and then retail, which could be Amazon. So we're tracking industries. So, a person going into consulting may be doing IT consulting, HR consulting, but we're more saying they're at Deloitte, they're at Booz Allen, they're at PwC, KPMG.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll say consulting.
Yeah. Booz Allen's always a big one.
Yeah.
Hey, Scott, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come right back and talk about your life and success principles. This is Bill, and I just want to say that anyone who can listen to this podcast in the Reno area is welcome to come out and listen to Dr. McDonald, as well as meet Scott at our Founders Day. That's the West Point Founders Day, which is on March 13th at 5:30 Tamarack Junction. Just go to WPSNN.org for tickets. Hey, so Scott, we're coming back off a break. Hey, before we go into your life and success principles, just want to ask you, colonels and generals who retire, what type of jobs do they go into? I mean, they're like the second life, or what do they do?
Yeah. But they're going into the same types of jobs across that grads across all age groups are going into. They've got a great set of consulting skills, so they can move into that. They are moving into defense contractors. Many going into IT. A lot of them have specialties in their branch, or that they've developed over the years are moving into HR.
HR, yeah.
Yeah. So it depends. There's a broad spectrum of experiences, but we've kind of the numbers that I've run. One would think that we're working a lot with younger grads. In the last year, we've helped 52 grads 1 to 6 years out. And that anybody under 5 years obviously would be a medical retirement or med board. We've helped 55 grads 21 years or more since graduation. So we've helped more, kind of the 06 level and above. Now that could be somebody who's civilian for a long time, but, managing director, VP.
That's an interesting phenomenon. How many coming right out of retirement, either 25 or 30 years, as opposed to maybe got out in the reserve or separated from the military? Do you have about 50-50, or what are your numbers?
So again, ETS, people that just plain ETS, so that'd be anywhere from 5 to 20 years. We had 58 of those. We had 35 retirees.
One thing I've noticed is quite a few folks, because they have their masters, they'll get into universities or junior colleges as professors, or work their way into a professorship. Do you see that?
So it's really, some.
They have to teach a little bit. The online is evolving in teaching.
What we try to do, if you're an executive recruiter, you are focused on your clients and their openings. And we're 180 from that. We are focused on the graduate, and we do a detailed intake with them on what do you want to do? Where do you want to do it? What are your priorities in life? So that we're trying to find a job for them rather than stick them into a job.
No, you want to like what you do. That's so important.
Well, and a lot of times there's, talk to a lot of people. How much travel will you do? Preferably none. We've been married 5 years, and I've spent 8 months with my wife. Because they're both in, and they haven't been stationed together.
That is so true for business. So you get tired of traveling. Travel.
We had one medical discharge who said, "I need to work in this town in Wisconsin."
Yeah, it's nice. That's tough.
Because he said, my wife's been trailing me around for 15 years, and then we're going to go back to where she came from and be near her family. Now, he was fortunate because he was able to do a lot of travel. So he got a job with a Southern California tech company who didn't care where he lived as long as he was amenable to 70, 80% travel.
Yeah. Zoom, we're on Zoom right now. That is really changing the world. The Zoom conferencing and communications. It's incredible. In fact, I wish I'd bought Zoom stock last month. You know what Zoom stock has done this month?
No.
So, hey, Scott, before we finish up, we always ask as a timeline interview, 3 life and success principles. And you mentioned to me, and tell me a little bit about these, was the first one was family. So explain family and then go on to your next couple, life and success.
I've got a great set of parents, and they're reaching that time of their life where they need some help. I've got 3 kids who are one's getting married and one's a senior in high school, and there's another one in the middle who's got a great job. But being near them is really important and supportive. And then I've got a great group of sisters and brothers-in-law, nieces and nephews. So that's number one for me.
Family. Very good. So what's your second life and success principle?
I think, living truthfully. It's just so much easier than I can't imagine how much hard work it is for people to tell different lies to different people and then try to sort it all out. I have a hard enough time remembering who I told what to, so I don't repeat myself. But at least I'm going to tell them the same story again.
Do you have the problem you're getting older? You repeat yourself, the same story?
Yeah. And so we do this in my family, just saying, you've told me that one twice already, or now you're on the third time.
Sounds like my 17-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
And what's the third?
Well, I've had a good career, and I've had a lot of experience in executive recruiting. And so for me, this job is a great opportunity to give back. I used to volunteer and do this a lot when I was an executive recruiter, even though I didn't have slots for those grads. So being able to help people is, to me, very gratifying. We work with people and we swear away their resume, and we show them that they have value, even if they've been in artillery or a flyer, that where they're not going to go do that, and they say, gee, what can I do on the outside? They really don't have a clue about the innate project management and management skills that they think everybody's got those. No, not everybody. All the people that you hang around with in the military do. But find me a kid 5 years out of college that's been responsible for $50 million of equipment and 150 people moving them from Texas to Afghanistan and back.
It's incredible what a young second lieutenant is in charge of. It's just incredible. You go back. That's one shock when you go from the military back in the civilian world. Like, you're fairly low level in the civilian world compared to where you came from.
That's part of our coaching too, is expectation, setting the correct expectations. You're probably, even if you've been a battalion commander, when you move into a civilian company, you're probably going to be an individual contributor for a while.
Yep.
While you pick it up.
So I've got some wild card questions you haven't even heard yet. So the first one is, why'd you go to West Point?
One of the Malo system that we have now of grads in the areas helping people get through the administration process. One of those guys worked with my dad at the Yellow Pages, and I was giving him a hard time. And we only lived an hour away, so I was up here a lot for football games. And I gave him a hard time, and I hit his recruiter button, and he gave me the pitch, and I said, "Wow, that seems like a good place to go."
That's good. It's just
so it was the only place I applied.
Wow, that's incredible. Interesting. So, and the final question is, what advice do you have for the incoming class of 2024? That's a tough one.
If they let me stand up and talk to the cadets, I would tell them all to get connected on LinkedIn. Every one of them. I'd say, everyone in your company, get a profile, get connected, because when you graduate here, the first thing you're going to lose is your USMA.edu address. So what emails do you have for everybody? Then when they get out of the military, they're going to lose their .mil address. So get connected now. And I've even put a little piece together on how to use LinkedIn to help your military career. Same things we're telling people to do on your next job. Hey, what if I'm going to Schofield Barracks? Who's there? Who's there? That's a firstie. That was a firstie when I was a plebe. What units do I want to go to? Where should I live? Should I bring a car? All that kind of stuff that you're not going to figure out on your own.
That's incredible. I know through this whole conversation, we've been talking about LinkedIn, and it seems like that's a super important tool. So where do they go to get examples or learn how to properly fill out their LinkedIn? My LinkedIn probably looks like a disaster. I've had it forever. We weren't allowed to have Facebook at one time, but we were allowed to have LinkedIn. I don't know if you remember that. It was years ago. And
I was in the Army. There was no such thing as the internet or social media or cell phones.
Smartphones. Oh yeah, that's another story we could talk about. My daughter's a yearling, and it's just like I gag when I know that she has a smartphone as a fourth classman. When she was a fourth classman,
Yeah.
listen to music or whatever they want to listen, or watching movies.
Hey, you know what they had here recently that you may not have had when you were here? Well, every other Wednesday they have study day, so they don't have class.
Right.
And one of them, they had puppy day.
I like the comfort dogs. We had a really fat lab over in Afghanistan. It used to hang out in the barracks.
Well, I mean, obviously there's been some tough times here, but it's not quite the same experience that we had.
It's different. I remember school on Saturday morning. Yep. And I remember Tiki Trailer sitting next to me, and one I said, "Tiki, aren't you still like playing football today?"
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm still in touch with him.
He's a good guy. He was one of my favorite people. Yeah, good guy. Everyone liked Tiki. Hey, Scott. So you're going to be out here on let me push
next Friday.
Up.
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th. I know. I remember when we picked this. I go, oh my gosh, Friday the 13th.
We can handle
share the screen again so that people can see this. Friday the 13th. So if there are any, you're going to be in town a day or two. If there are any grads who want to sort of talk to you, share cards, you'll be there before
absolutely
the dinner, which is at 5:30. And do you have what's your contact information for people who want to reach out and talk to you?
It's on my LinkedIn profile.
LinkedIn. When we go to LinkedIn, let me see if I can find this here. So I only had a few letters in. That's cool. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
A little stock action there. We're looking
so
at
you
folks,
can.
if you're on YouTube,
I put that together.
This will be on YouTube. You can see this Scott's page. So this is what a good page is supposed to look like, huh?
Drop some media in if you can.
Yeah. How about blogging? Or they do have a blog system on here. I've really never done too much.
You can add any kind of media on here. So all that kind of thing helps boost your profile. Yeah, as you were saying earlier, like for the early graduates, I don't think it's not relevant what they have in there, just that they have one and they stay connected to their classmates.
Right, the contact information.
And those 2 or 3 ahead of you. Yeah, so you see
contact right there.
Yep.
You know, it really is better to tell people one place to go instead of confusing them with 10 different places to try to find someone. And that makes a lot of sense to go to LinkedIn and just type the name in, Scott Leishman. And Career Services, United States Military Academy, AOG, Association of Grads. By the way, it's impressive to see the Association of Grads. I hope to be back there for another march back. My daughter's got second details, so it was a blast coming back and marching back. So, all right, Scott. Well, I appreciate it. I will see you
look underneath my name and see if that makes sense to you. What I do for a living. Right underneath AOG.
This right here.
So I'm going right after my audience. If you don't know what Brasso is, you don't need to be talking to me. They probably have people do that for them now, but I've talked to some kids on the rugby team, and they know what it is.
That's fine. I know we got rid of the black boots and less spit shining. Oh, my gosh. All right, Scott. Very good. Thank you, and I will see you out here on the 13th.
Looking forward to it.
Take care.
Bye, Bill.